let's see who took a bigger crap yesterday. The Cowboys on that last play, the Buffalo Bills just not showing up, or me this morning because after I consumed cheese. That's
Tom.
that's that's really the question.
I'd say the Bills were the
We're gonna talk about it,
biggest
Domino.
disappointments this weekend. The
We're
biggest
gonna talk about it.
underperforming team. I mean, like we kind of expected the Cowboys to lose. Even just like outside the Cowboys are going to choke in the playoff sort of
Sure.
thing. I think most people just thought the 49ers are a better team than Dallas.
Agreed.
The question mark San Francisco had was like, is Brock Purdy going to keep playing steady, solid football, or is he going to look like the last pick in the draft in this game? And
so, like, that was the thing too. It was all about the protection from the O-line of the Cowboys, because if you actually have decent protection against that really good pass rush, you could take advantage of that secondary. And Dak, who was basically perfect last week against the Buccaneers, old Dak came out. And that's what, I mean, I know that the social media team pinned it on him, but they're not wrong. Like, that was on Dak because the defense played more than good enough to win, and Dak throwing 2 interceptions wound up costing him the game.
Yeah.
So, no, they do need a run game. But that's what I said. I mean, we'll talk about them in a hot second, because we could fill an entire episode talking about the Bills, because, like, they are the team with the biggest question marks, I think, going forward out of all of the losers. The Cowboys, I mean, you might need a new quarterback. Jerry Jones might look at that and say he's not going to get us over the hump.
No, I think that's an overreaction. I think our expectations, if your only expectation is a quarterback who is going to win the Super Bowl, you basically look at 30 quarterbacks every year and say these guys aren't good enough. I would say Dak's not a perfect quarterback. He can be great, but he can be just pretty pedestrian, and he's a little inconsistent. But it's like the Vikings aren't going to move on from Kirk Cousins. I would say Dak's still better than Dan Jones, and everybody's loving up on those guys. Nobody's saying you should get rid of Kirk, you should get rid of Dan. It's just, are you going to be able to win a Super Bowl with Dak? Only if everything goes right for the Cowboys in the playoffs and they don't run into superior teams like the 49ers, or if they had to play the Eagles, I wouldn't have liked their chances either. But
here's the problem, Brandon. And yeah, I saw that because I thought Dak was going to get a safety, but like, I guess he's afraid of roughing the passer, which is
that was bizarre. It's like,
because he like ran into him.
He's like, you could have murdered him there.
In my humble opinion, the Dallas Cowboys aren't the right team. They're not built in a way that could get over the hump with Dak as their QB. And what I mean by that is they're so inconsistent with their offense, because, like, what have we been screaming at the Cowboys all year? Use Tony Pollard, make him your feature back, right? They finally started doing that, and unfortunately he got hurt. He's going to need surgery. I hope he recovers quickly. But then they needed to rely on Dak. You can't rely on Zeke, who, I'm sorry, has been the biggest money pit, and that has been horrific, because this is supposed to be your featured back, and now he's not. And so when your now new featured back goes down, you can't be steady enough to hand it off to Zeke and have him try to win you the game. The offensive line, while played very good, is not where it was years ago. The defense, again, up and down all season, played more than well enough to win, but that should be a run-first team. But they're paying Dak and relying on Dak like it's like an Aaron Rodgers-led team. And I think that that's what gets them into trouble, because they also don't have the receiver. CeeDee Lamb is very good, but there's a reason why he's 50% of their offense. So I just don't think that they're built in a way that is going to be sustainable going forward and could get them over the hump. Because, like, what do you need now? If you're the Dallas Cowboys, what do you get? You get another wide receiver? Is that going to help? Do you get another offensive lineman? Like, is that going to help? Like, I think that there's a lot of questions for the Cowboys. And I think if they're in like win now mode, I don't know. I don't know if it Dak's your guy, because, like, again, those picks hurt. They hurt a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think you keep continuing try and find pieces to put around Dak. It's an overreaction. we're not. Nobody's talking about firing. I don't know, Geno Smith. There's a bunch of quarterbacks. Nobody's talking about firing Joshy Allen. And you get this far. There's something to be said for getting this far in the playoffs. And you can't just. There's just not all these great quarterbacks out there to replace guys like Dak. You got to figure out how to help Dak get a little bit better, a little bit safer with the football, and commit to a style of offense that's going to win you games. The Zeke contract, more than anything, set him back, hamstrung him.
Yeah.
If they had to get rid of Amari Cooper,
They win their division.
Zeke has just been not effective, not great for the last 2 or 3 years. Take a running back in the 3rd round. Keep Pollard, although you got to worry about he both got a high ankle sprain and fractured his leg.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a recovery time from that. You can win with Dak. Can you win a Super Bowl? I don't know. But you can say that about every quarterback that's not Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow right now, or Jalen Hurts.
What about Brock Purdy? He's literally the last pick in the draft. And so, but that's my point, though. Look how the 49ers are built. The 49ers, right, they have to get after the quarterback. They run the ball, which they did pretty successfully in the second half.
Coaching.
But, that's how they would. What?
Coaching.
Yeah.
Coaching.
So, then you start looking at Mike McCarthy, and you're just like...
And Kellen Moore, too.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, you have to. So, again, I think it has to be either a cultural shift, which I don't think they're going to make, or it's a QB shift. I'm not even saying that Dak should be. I'm not saying he should be cut. I'm not saying he should be.
I think there's flaws with him for sure.
There is 100%.
I think they can be fixed.
I don't know. Okay, how do you fix them then? Is it coaching or is it the player?
Yeah, I think he needs a different offensive coordinator and head coach, or just an offensive-minded head coach. I don't know if I think Kellen Moore's all right. I think starts at the very top with Mike McCarthy.
I think they've missed.
It's hard though because in 2021, Dak lit it up. He had 37 touchdown passes, 10 picks. Right, he can do it. He can put up the numbers.
But why were they able to do
football? But if it's consistency, he had an injury this year. He comes back, and then they got away from what works. I think it happens in the playoffs too. We're working on a video about the 2006 Chargers. They ran the ball down everyone's throats. Just insane with LT and Michael Turner. They get to the playoffs. They have Rivers throw it 37 times in a game where he completes 14 passes.
Yep.
It happens. The game, the magnitude, coaches get away from it. The players get away from it. So if you're comparing, the Niners, they just stuck to it. It wasn't really going their way on offense.
No,
they were getting worked by the Dallas D, and they just hung around. And San Francisco got back in that game because of an insane catch George Kittle made. Just an insane play. And Dallas did not have that. I look at the way the Cowboys lost as they were one play away from winning that game. And sure, you evaluate it all, but I think you can work with Dak. I think if Sean Payton went there, like Cowboys fans want, I think they're a much better team on offense.
So I think they missed Amari Cooper a lot this year.
Yeah.
I think they missed him a whole lot this year because that entire offense, all regular season. And this is going to hurt me to say a lot. This is going to hurt a lot.
Aaron Rodgers to the Cowboys. What?
The Dallas Cowboys remind me a lot of the Green Bay Packers in that they're good in the regular season and they're not good in the playoffs. Because you mentioned the magnitude, the competition is better, and you get away from what has worked all season. That has happened to both of these teams. It happens constantly. And this is why the Cowboys were being successful yesterday, because they were running with Tony Pollard, which they did last week, which worked really well, and they were carrying it over. But once you start going into hero ball, once you start forcing the ball downfield, and you get away from that, it's a problem. And like you mentioned, that's what the best teams in the playoffs are, the consistent ones. The 49ers never got away from their game plan. They're like, we're going to run the ball and we're going to keep running. Even if it's not really working, we're going to run the ball. We're going to rely on our defense and just keep it moving. And then they relied on their skills players, who are phenomenal, to make the big plays when they had to.
Yeah. It was patience. The Bills haven't won a divisional round since what, the 90s? Since the 90s, guys. Yeah. It's not an easy thing to fix. It's hard because, like, you got to the playoffs. You won a game. You won a game last year, but you didn't get to the championship, right? Like, only 4 teams get there every season.
Yep.
So you're doing a really good job. But, like, how do you fix those little things to be doing a great job every year? And that's every team. It's
every team.
It's Rodgers with the Packers. Right now, it's Dak with the Cowboys. Rodgers better than Dak, but, like, it was Manning with the Colts forever. Like, they had those issues. Like, last year, the Cowboys offense was better, but this year, it felt like they had the defense to take them all the way.
At time, yes.
Like, obviously, like, at least in terms of opportunistic, like, they had 2 guys who could get, you got these edge rushers. Micah Parsons was playing insane, and they did a great job, but they kind of squandered it.
Yeah.
They're the Cowboys, man. They're just going to happen.
It's just
Andrew Jones!